I was standing in the grocery store line when it hit. This invisible grip around my throat. I could breathe, but it felt like I couldn't. Something was lodged just below the surface, refusing to move. That's anxiety. And for years, it lived there. Welcome back to The Daily Champ. This show is all about what it takes to reset, rise up, and champion yourself in the process. Today, we're diving into a topic that hits closer to home than most of us like to admit: burnout, boundaries, and mental health. Because here's the truth: ambition has a cost. And when you've built the business, the brand, the reputation, well, the pressure doesn't disappear. It shifts, it hides, it wears different clothes. But underneath it all, many of us are running on fumes, pretending it's fuel. So today we're going to pull that mask off. I'm Rachael, and I've lived this conversation. I've built businesses, I've led teams, I've run on adrenaline, coffee, and the idea that rest is just for later. But I've also hit the wall hard, pretty hard. So this episode is for every high achiever, every founder, every woman who's carried the weight of her own empire and forgot she wasn't built to run without rest. So here's what I want to ask you right at the start. When was the last time you paused? Not because you crashed, but because you chose to. When was the last time you said, "I'm exhausted and I deserve to slow down"? Right? How many of us have said that? So if that feels like a foreign concept, because actually right now saying it does feel like a foreign concept, well, this episode is your permission slip. Today we're talking about the hidden costs of ambition, the anxiety that grips your throat at 2 a.m. Maybe that looks like for you 12 midnight, 4 a.m., whatever. The burnout that doesn't look like fire, it looks like silence, and the boundaries we need to protect our peace before everything collapses. So in this episode, I'll share 5 stories, 5 turning points from my own journey and from other entrepreneurs I've worked with. Stories about how we broke the cycle of stress, learned to breathe again. Okay. Shout out to Nadine of Enrich Wellness, who was with me the other day and said, Rachael, if you can't use those other coping mechanisms to kind of like slow down the stress, you can breathe. Breathe in and a long exhale. She said you can do that anywhere, in your car. Sometimes when we're driving in our car, we're thinking of a million things. So we learn to breathe again. And remember that we are human before we are high performing. So story number 1, the hold of anxiety. Let's start with this. Anxiety has a way of disguising itself as ambition. So it took me 5 years to recognize the difference. That makes me really sad. Kind of looking back at that girl in New York City, just like running around, doing everything I can to make sure the job is done, make sure I have a social life, hustle on the side. I tried starting my own magazine at the time, and and with that came a lot of ambition. A lot of anxiety that I didn't even know that I was living with. Sometimes it just wasn't physical. It was like living in the mind. So I had 5 years of waking up with a tightness in my chest, a constant running of thoughts in my head, like I was perpetually living on the edge of something urgent. So, okay, in my nod to ambition, what did I do? After I realized what it was, I studied it, I journaled it, and I prayed through it. And one day I decided I will not live like this anymore, because anxiety doesn't just drain your energy, it distorts your identity. You start believing you're only valuable when you're producing. That's really sad, isn't it? That you're only safe when you're achieving. And that is a lie. So story number 2, the night the lights went out. There was a night when I was sitting in my office, laptop open, inbox glowing, my body running on caffeine and cortisol. And suddenly it felt like my mind just stopped. The drive was gone. I love the drive. It's like such part of who I am. But it was gone. The ideas were gone. The passion was gone. I remember saying to myself, I think I broke my brain. But that night I realized burnout doesn't come for the lazy, it comes for the loyal. The one who cares too much, who give everything, who never stops showing up even when their body is begging them to. Story number 3, the cost of saying yes. If you live in any big city, right? It's always a yes. Hey, can you do this? Sure. Hey, want to go here? Yes. Hey, can you stay late for this whole thing? And I get in a work environment, you got to get the project done, but it's always a yes. So I had a client who once said, every yes I said to others became a no to myself. And I felt that. See, we glorify busyness, the full calendar, the booked schedule, the endless meetings, but most of us are overcommitted and undernourished. We say yes because we're afraid to disappoint. Who else is in the room that feels exactly like that, right? Well, we don't want to disappoint that person. Sometimes I just shut my phone off so I don't feel like I have to respond to those texts because I feel like I'm going to disappoint that person. Well, we say yes because we've tied our worth to our usefulness. But here's what I've learned. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors that you control. You decide who walks through. You decide when it's time to close it. You decide. Story number 4, the rebuild. After I hit my burnout wall, I rebuilt my life around peace, not performance. I started walking at sunset. I started boxing, and not just in the morning because I'm ambitious, I'm productive. I got to get my workout in the morning. No, I started taking boxing classes at night because I thought, I don't know, that could be like a fun social hangout, right? And all of that, wasn't just for fitness, but it was for clarity. And also I stopped apologizing for rest. I'm very productive in the morning. So I even like to use Saturday mornings to get work done. But then after a while I said, you know what? You're not opening up a screen until 3 p.m. Okay. You're going to let yourself enjoy your errands, your workouts, whatever you want to do. And then I would find I just kind of did not open up the laptop at all. And I kind of just had some fun, had some rest, some socializing. And that's when creativity started to come back. The focus came back. The joy came back. And when I stopped proving my value, I started living it. Story number 5, the call to reconnect. See, the final story isn't just mine, it's all of ours. Every business owner I know has faced the same emotional storm. Hypervigilance about the market, fear of failure, isolation, imposter syndrome, physical exhaustion. We don't talk about it enough, but up to 80% of business owners report symptoms of poor mental health. That's not weakness, that's just reality. So the strongest thing you can do is to admit it and then build a life that supports you before you collapse. Because success without mental health is not success, it is survival. So as we close today, I want to leave you with this. You don't have to choose between growth and grace. You can build the business and protect your mind. You can be strong and still need rest. So I encourage you, I challenge you this week, take 5 minutes every morning, no emails, no scrolling. Let's say it again, no scrolling. and just check in with your nervous system. Ask yourself, am I anxious or am I excited? Am I tired or am I disconnected? Am I leading or am I chasing? That small awareness could change the course of your entire year. And just a quick note, because I'm going to honor my rest, I won't be uploading a new episode next week, but I do have a fun conversations episode that was pre-filmed and full of good energy. So I hope you still come back on Tuesday, because I'm going to take time for rest, sit back and think about the studio, think about the topics. And on that note, like I'd love to hear topics you're interested in. So you can always email me at Rachael@champcast.co. So until then, breathe deep. Let's do it together. Let's go. Inhale for 4 and a long exhale. And remember, you can do that anywhere, anytime. But set your boundaries and remember, you are not your burnout. You are your becoming. Isn't that so sweet to say? You are your becoming. So to that point, if you want to talk about any of this together, please join my Facebook group, also called The Daily Champ, where we keep the conversations going daily. And if this episode encouraged you, please share it with a friend who might need the same reminder. Until next time, keep your heart steady and your eyes lifted. Thanks for watching The Daily Champ.